Existence endures because simples are immutable.
First, here is the question that frames this answer segment.
Because I've been taking your view of simples more seriously ever since you told me about the fact that, well, ever since it became clear to me that you were talking about simples in a sort of more realist way, in the sense that you think that the simples have an intrinsic nature, right?
Now follows this segment of the answer, separated here for topic segmentation.
Original disproof of Gunk is an interactive proof. It's not an entity proof. It's a motion proof, right? It is a proof that relies upon motion and interaction, and not upon some innate nature of the substances. So the proof is that interactions require stable surface contact for the duration of the interaction. And so wherever you observe substances capable of interacting, those particular substances must be indivisible, because a substance, a fundamental substance which is capable of subdivision, will never be able to maintain a stable surface, and thus it will never be able to offer stable surface for interaction. Right? Pushing and pulling. You couldn't push or pull upon something which can disintegrate on contact, right? And so, interaction, any substance which is capable of interaction must thereby, at the fundamental level, it must thereby be indivisible. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, but I would say that just because a substance has surface contact with another, right, and there is a force that each particular is sort of exerting a force in the other particular, that doesn't entail that the particular is going to divide, right? Because it just seems like I don't think any Gunk meteorologist claims that Gunk gunky material is just like it just divides at the first any force applied, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. What I would say there is that the nature of simple substances is that they are internally homogeneous, and so they only express one harmonious set of properties, or one property, therefore, throughout their volume, throughout their body, right? And if some property exists anywhere within a simple, it must also exist everywhere else within that simple. If a property exists anywhere in a simple, it must also be manifest every other place within that simple. The simple cannot have differentiated properties. Okay? So the properties must be identical and prevalent throughout. And therefore, if there is some property somewhere within the simple which would enable subdivision, or which would necessitate subdivision, either one, then that must be the case throughout the simple's body at all times, because they are internally homogeneous. They don't have the ability to have different properties at different times. The homogeneity requires them to be one nature only. And there is no such notion as varying internality for a simple. If it is this way, it is only that way and nothing else. And so, if a simple is capable of subdividing under any circumstance, it must therefore subdivide under all circumstances. There is no choice involved there. There's no such thing as a simple which subdivides under this circumstance, but not under that circumstance. Right? If its nature is to subdivide, then its nature is to subdivide. That's how it is. And so
I see.
Yeah. And so that enables me to make that subdivision proof, that the interaction-based constraints upon subdivision, which is that if the simple is capable of interaction, then it must be indivisible. That's it. How does that come across to you?
I think it's fine. So you're essentially saying that Gunk has the nature of dividing, and it doesn't like you. When you claim that it has the nature of dividing, you already imply that there is not a specific threshold of force that is needed for the Gunk to divide, but rather it is the nature of Gunk to divide at contact, right? It's just
or even
like if it divides at contact, or even spontaneously.
Yeah, even spontaneously. But it's fine. Please go on.
Okay. So once you establish this nature of the Gunk, then basically, interaction will be impossible, right?
Yes. So there was something you said I wanted to piggyback on top of and say something else, but I don't remember what it was. You said, it's specifically that it's not just that matter or whatever broadly Gunk is matter which behaves this way, but Gunk doesn't have a very specific set of internal properties which are being claimed. The claim of Gunk is that fundamental substances can be subdivided without limit, right? Gunk is not just saying that I can take a piece of glass and shatter it into pieces. I can take a macroscopic object and splinter it. That's not what Gunk is saying. Gunk is saying that even at the fundamental level of reality, fundamental substances can also be shattered. It's making a claim about fundamental substances. And so because it is making a claim about fundamental substances, it thereby is necessarily making that claim about simples. And therefore, that's where the trap comes from. The trap is simples are homogeneous internally. Therefore, they only have one nature. That's why Gunk fails. It fails because the trap is that they make the claim about fundamental substances, and therefore, because fundamental substances only have one nature, because they're homogeneous and they're simples, therefore, that nature must be constant. That's how it fails.